is quoting me to a certain extent. There's always a situation which arises at the beginning of the trial when the state case is unfolding, when it looks at its strongest. You must remember that the state case is as good as it will ever get at the end of the trial. And that depends on how the state witnesses shape up to cross-examination. It also depends on how the defense witnesses shape up in their evidence and in their cross-examination of them. So there are some questions which need to be asked. There are some questions which were raised at the bail application, and those questions will need to be dealt with. And the toughness or otherwise of Oscar's job depends on the quality of the evidence that is led. And at the end of the day, of course, it's the court decision with the totality of evidence before it which is going to be important, not what I think and not what you think and not what the press thinks.
Of course, it all has to be tested in court, and we agree with you on that. But you in an interview with the Belt newspaper, you spoke about his life not being in immediate danger when the fatal shots were fired. What bearing do you believe this would have on the outcome of this case?
No, again, there's a subtle misquote on this. What I said was that in order to shoot another human being, your life or that of somebody else has to be in mortal and imminent danger. And Oscar will have to show that he objectively or subjectively, to an extent that the court believes him, believed that his life was immediately threatened. And there are certain factors which will come into that, namely where he fired the shots from, the degree of closeness with which he approached the imminent danger, and the way in which the shots were fired. The number of shots, those will all come into that equation. But you are not entitled to shoot somebody unless yours or another person's life is in immediate and mortal danger. If you're attacking me with a bread roll at a restaurant, I can't pull out a pistol and shoot you. The degree of force has got to commensurate with the degree of danger which you face. And those are all things that are going to have to be unpacked at the court case. They're going to have to be cross-examined. His state of mind is going to be a central issue in the whole set of evidence. And at the end of the day, it all depends on the way the witnesses shape up and the nature and extent of their evidence.
In your opinion, Mr. Klatzow, your opinion this is, did he use excessive force by shooting through a door 4 times without knowing he's in there?
Well, the first thing to say is that my opinion is irrelevant in this. I think that you need to be able to be inside his mind to know what was going through his head. I don't know what was going through his head. It's up to him to convince the court that he was in sufficient danger to justify the level of force which he used. And one mustn't forget that firing 4 shots from a 9mm parabellum pistol is significant force. This is not a toy. It is likely, if those shots hit you in the torso, that 4 shots will produce mortal damage to the person that's on the other end of them. So that is what is going to be central to this case. And I think I'd rather refrain at the moment from saying whether the force was excessive or not. That's for the court to decide. But it was certainly a significant amount of force, and he's going to have to show that the level of danger that he was in was commensurate with that amount of force.
You were quoted in the newspaper again, and it might be misquoted or not, that it will be very difficult for him to prove his innocence, and that the athletics team in prison will be much stronger after this trial. Do you still stand by those comments? Or?
No, again, if you ask me what my view is, if I were to choose which case to have, I would say at the moment the state case is looking very strong. But again, that is predicated on not knowing what is in Oscar Pistorius's hand. I don't know what's in his hand. And as far as I'm concerned, one needs to wait and let the court make up their mind. There are issues which he's going to have to deal with. And those issues have already been raised at the bail application. and need to be dealt with. And there are some tough questions. I've got no doubt that this is not going to be a walkover, but there are tough questions that Oscar needs to answer, and answer satisfactorily.
Dr. David Klatzow, thank you for joining us and giving us your views on the case next week. Of course, that is forensic scientist Dr. David Klatzow, who joined us live from Cape Town, giving us his views on the Oscar Pistorius case and things like excessive force and 4 bullets through a bar, through a toilet door. All of that will, of course, be tested in court when the court case gets underway on Monday, and we'll keep you informed on this very channel as to how that develops. Live crossings to the venue, and of course evidence from within the court also. But let's take a look.